We last week, Bella and I got to about page 114. And what we were discussing, and I'm sorry I didn't post it earlier, I was having a lot of inner debate about posting the recording when there was something that I said that was true, but didn't relate to what we were talking about. It didn't matter in the end, but I just feel like I don't want to post that. So, and anyways, as I said, most of it was Bella and I talking about the Moroccan customs. So what we were discussing was when you can start your Shevanakim. So the 5-day minimum. And the 5-day minimum comes because she might have had intercourse and then become a Niddah, but she can't start counting until 6 full 12-hour periods have passed from when she and her husband were intimate. And then we no longer have the worry about her discharging semen or semen that's relevant, let's say, and then she can start. So the question is, when do those 6 onot start? So let's say the example that they give is she was intimate on Motzei Shabbos. So that means she's discharging Sunday during the day, Sunday night, Monday during the day, Monday night, Tuesday during the day, Tuesday night. So that means that on Wednesday during the day, she can do her hefsek and her Shevanakim start Wednesday night, which is officially Thursday. Great. And that's what the Sephardim do. But of course, Ashkenazim have to be nervous that maybe it's good that we had that discussion, that maybe what happened was, let's say it was Sunday, okay? And she thought they were intimate. They were intimate, let's say like twilight, like late afternoon, the house was empty, they seized the moment. And she thought that it was still daytime, halachically, so that she would start her counting on Sunday. But actually, it was really halachically nighttime. And therefore, her intercourse was really Sunday night, which was officially Monday. So if we now wait 6 full onot from then, she really can't start counting until the following day. So that's what Ashkenazim do. They add on this extra level of care, and we're going to read it together from the Tzurba Deshen, that she can't start counting until the 6th day, meaning she does her hefsek on the 5th day, and then she's ready to start that night, which is the 6th day. And there's also an additional stringency that we don't ask people what they were or weren't doing. We assume everybody was having intercourse as long as they could, unless they were halachically not allowed to. And so everybody has to wait those 6 onot from when they get their period, regardless of whether or not their husband is even in town. Okay, so unless there's a halachic reason that you couldn't be together, we're going to assume that you were together. Nobody's asking you what or when. Yes, which again maybe is appropriate given that I'm not even sure what day it is, right? So sometimes that's not as inaccurate as it seemed when we were teenagers and our lives were a little bit more regimented or structured from the outside. All right, so let's start on. I think it will be helpful to read the 2 yellow boxes on 114 and then continue. So this is just reviewing what I just said orally, but it's nice sometimes. For me, it's always helpful to see it. So I'll start us off with the top box, the top orange box on 114, and then I'll pass it, I think, to Rachel if she's available for the next box, and then we'll continue on as usual. In the Rosh scenario,
I'm just holding the baby, so I won't be available next, but maybe the next time.
All right, pop up when you're available. Thanks for letting us know. In the Rosh scenario, used by the Beit Yosef as well, the couple had relations on Motzei Shabbat, for example, at 11 p.m., and the woman began her menstrual period the next morning and discharged semen on Tuesday night, for example, at 10 p.m. Since this is within 6 onot, or 72 hours since the time of the relations, the woman would become impure and need to invalidate that day of the counting, i.e. Tuesday night, which is really halachically Wednesday. To prevent this from happening, she only begins counting Shevanakim on Thursday, the 5th day after. The Beit Yosef concludes that the halacha follows this opinion, that one must wait a full 72 hours from the time of having relations, since that position is taken by the majority of the Rishonim. Okay, so then I'll pass it to Becky, and then Rachel will come back in when she's available. So I'm asking for the second orange box on 114.
Okay. The Tzurba Hadashen takes a more stringent position that the Shevanakim should begin a day later than according to the opinion of the Rosh. The reason is that if the count is allowed to begin after 6 onot, it is possible that one will have relations Sunday during twilight and assume it is still daytime, which means that the count begins on Thursday, just as if one had relations on Motzei Shabbos, and then became Niddah. But perhaps in reality, it was already nighttime, in which case, if the woman experienced a discharge on Wednesday night within 72 hours of the act of relations, she would invalidate the counting of that day, Thursday. Therefore, she must wait until Friday to begin counting, even when bleeding begins on Motzei Shabbos. The Trumat Hadeshen also writes that to prevent confusion, one should not distinguish between which day the couple had relations. Rather, even if they engaged in relations a few days before her menstrual bleeding, she must still wait the prescribed amount of time beginning from her bleeding. This serves as a precautionary measure because of the cases where she had relations beforehand on that day.
Amazing. Okay, so now you've introduced the Trumat Hadeshen, and maybe Vanessa, because it's so long, let's have you read the Trumat Hadeshen itself. That's on 115.
Okay. In most of the works, it is written that a woman who had relations with her husband and saw blood that day should not begin to count the 7 clean days until the 5th day from the relations, since we require 6 full onot for the possibility that semen was discharged. But I have heard that one should add another day and not begin to count until the 6th day from having relations. Example, from having relations on Motzei Shabbat until beginning the 7 clean days on Friday. Since if you permit her to begin the counting on Thursday when 6 full onot are already complete, and any additional discharge does not invalidate the count, one should be concerned that sometimes she may have relations during twilight on Motzei Shabbat, and she will think this is still daytime. And then she may be able to begin counting on Wednesday, which is the 5th day from her having relations. But it may not be true, as it already have been nighttime when she had relations. And then she would still be considered discharging semen on the beginning of Tuesday night, i.e. before the time of day that the relations took place, since we require 6 full onot. Therefore, we are stringent until the 6th day from her having relations, i.e. Friday in the example above, and then there is no more need for concern. Though whether she had relations or not shortly before her seeing blood, the sages did not distinguish, since we decree a case of where she did not have relations, that she must wait 5 days. Due to a case where she did have relations on that day, she saw or 1 day before her seeing. And it seems that one should certainly be stringent in accordance with the RI, who holds this way. Since concerning biblical issues, one follows a stringent opinion, and certainly regarding a prohibition involving karet excision, and Jewish women practice additional stringencies within the laws of Niddah.
Okay. So again, he's just spelling out what we said, that you just can't be too careful with something that involves an Isser Karet. And so since it's not crazy to think that people might make a mistake, and they might think, especially during twilight when it's sort of day, sort of night, it looks light out, but really, the sun's already set, it just hasn't gone dark yet, etc., etc. So it's appropriate to be extra careful. So now let's see. Rachel, you just popped on. Am I assuming that you are able to read us the last box on page 115, which introduces the Beit Yosef on 116? But you're muted.
There we go. Okay, but the Beit Yosef rejects this approach as an excessive stringency and therefore rules, as we saw above, that only 4 days are necessary. The Trumat Hadeshen right, Beit Yosef Yoreh Siman 196, Sif 11b. The Trumat Hadeshen writes that one should add an additional day and not begin counting until the 6th day after having relations, such as from Motzei Shabbat, having relations on Motzei Shabbat, and then seeing menstrual blood until Friday, when she began counting the 7 clean days. Since if you permit her to begin the days of counting from Thursday, when 6 full onot have passed, one must be concerned that perhaps she will occasionally have relations at twilight on Motzei Shabbat and think that it is still daytime, and that she can begin the 7 clean days on Wednesday, which is the 5th day from having relations, but perhaps it is not so. Rather, it was already night when she had relations, and this is the custom in all of the lands of Ashkenaz. But all of these matters are excessive stringencies and have no basis in the Gemara with regard to the halacha. Therefore, this is not the common custom in all of our areas. Rather, the custom is to wait 4 days and to begin counting from the 5th day and on. But this is only if she had relations. But if she did not have relations, she need not wait at all. If she had relations 1 or 2 days before seeing her period, she can complete 4 days from the day she had relations, and on the 5th day from her relations, she may begin to count.
So it's a very different approach, right? The Sephardi approach is very different. Although when I was talking to Bella, she mentioned that certainly the Moroccan Sfardis, which I think follow the Ben Ish Chai, they all wait the 5 days, same as Ashkenazim. So there are streams in within Sephardic and within Ashkenazic Masorah tradition that go either way. But it's interesting to see where it comes from. All right. I think it's my turn now. I think I got backwards, but all right, we're going to call it my turn. Based on his conclusion in the Beit Yosef, Rav Yosef Kara rules in the Shulchan Aruch that one must wait 72 hours before beginning the Sheva Nekiim, which practically means that one must wait 4 full days based on the explanation given by the Rosh above. The Shulchan Aruch, concerning one who discharges semen during the days of her count, if it is within 6 onot of her having had relations, she invalidates that day of the discharge. Therefore, one who has relations and then sees blood, and it seizes the Ramah, and even if she didn't see but merely saw a stain, and even if she didn't have a flow, but she just saw a stain, and she became a Niddah, she doesn't have to begin to count. She does not begin to count the 7 days until 6 full onot have passed, as she may experience a discharge. Therefore, she does not begin to count until the 5th day after having relations. For example, if she had relations on Motzei Shabbat, she does not begin to count until Thursday, as the established halacha is that semen does not become putrid until 6 full onot have passed from the exact time, me'et le'et, so let's say from 10 p.m. on Motzei Shabbos, then it goes till 10 p.m. the 3 days later, from when she engaged in relations. If she had relations on Motzei Shabbat and she discharged on Tuesday night, literally the night of Wednesday, before the time of day of her relations on Motzei Shabbat. So this is the example that we gave, I think they gave in the little yellow box that we started with, that she had relations at 11, 6 onot later, right? Or in the 6th onah, she discharged at 10 o'clock, which is an hour less than 6 full onot. That would invalidate that time for the Sheva Nekiim, because remember, the Sheva Nekiim have to be complete days. They have to have a full start at Shkia. They can't start in the middle. Okay, these onot that we're counting from intercourse to the semen being putrid, which is such an interesting word, those are counted like hourly. If it starts at 10, it ends at 10. But the other onot that we count, right, when we're starting our Sheva Nekiim or when we're counting other things, those have to be complete onot. They have to start at sunset. So because she could potentially discharge at some point within that onah, we can't count it. So that means that the following day, daytime, anyway, she needed to start from Shkia. She couldn't start from Shkia that night. So the following day, she finishes up that day, does her hefsek and finishes getting ready. And then the following night, she can start actually counting. Okay. I hope any of that made sense. I will pass it on to you, Becky. Oh, sorry. I think I was still in the middle of reading, but you get the idea. Therefore, Thursday is the first day of her count. Sorry.
The Ramah rules in accordance with the Tzurba Hadashen on both points. Ramah. She should perform the hefsek on Wednesday towards evening in the scenario discussed above, where her menstrual period begins on Motzei Shabbos or Sunday, and Thursday counts towards her counting of 7 days. Some write that one should wait an additional day, meaning that she should not begin to count until Friday, the 6th day after bleeding again, and that will be the first day of her count, as we are concerned perhaps she will have relations on Sunday during twilight, and she will think that it was daytime, but perhaps it was nighttime. And if she begins counting on Thursday, it may still be within the 6 onot of her having had relations. Therefore, one should add an extra day so that then there is no way to make such a mistake. And this is the custom in all of these regions, and one should not deviate from it. Some write that nowadays there is no distinction between one who has relations with her husband and one who does not. Any woman who sees blood, even a stain, must wait 5 days from then, including the day she sees, and perform a hefsek towards evening, and then count 7 clean days. This is the custom in our region, and one should not deviate from it.
Thank you. Rachel, are you trying to tell us something or are you just saying a bracha? I see your lips moving, but I don't hear anything.
Just say bracha.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I think Vanessa, take us.
According to both the Shulchan Aruch and the Rima, a woman only waits 4 or 5 days after seeing a flow of blood that indicates the onset of her menstrual period. But she need not wait 5 additional days if she sees a problematic stain or sees blood on her bedika cloth in the middle of Sheva Nakiim, in which case she must restart her 7-day count as noted by the Shach. Okay, Siftei Cohen. But if during her days of counting, i.e., the 7 clean days, or after 5 days she encountered difficulties and again saw blood or a stain, she may perform a hefsek tahara that day and count the next day from the beginning again without waiting 5 days. And this is obvious. Okay.
Well, okay, but let's break it down. So if she already waited her 5 days, now she's in the middle of her Sheva Nakiim, right? So we know that she has not been intimate for at least 5 days, plus however many days she got to before she had a stain, right? Before she had a bad badika. So clearly, there's no way that in the middle of your Sheva Nakiim, you would be within 5 days of intercourse, right? You already waited those 5 days. So anything after that, you for sure are 5 days away from discharge, and therefore you just need a new hefsek and start your Sheva Nakiim again. Does that make any sense? You don't look convinced, Vanessa.
There's just so much calculations
I
and
know.
rules.
Who told us
Wow.
that math would still be needed?
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Doesn't it basically mean that there's no way she had intercourse within those like 5 days? So it's basically just saying that there's no, like, based on the basis of like you're counting 6 note from intercourse, like you're already past that, so you don't have to start those again.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's saying. There's no chance during Sheva Nakiim that you could be within 6 note of intercourse. All right, Rachel.
On a practical level, the Torah HaTahara rules based on the opinion of Rav Ovadia Yosef. The Sephardim follow the Shulchan Aruch as they usually do and may begin Sheva Nakiim the day following a full 72 hours from which the couple last had relations, i.e. the 4th day afterwards. Ashkenazim, on the other hand, follow the Ramah and wait 5 full days from the beginning of the menstrual period, regardless of whether relations took place or not. Should I read the Torah HaTahara?
Yeah, so this is basically summarizing what we just said, but it's helpful to have it laid out.
Torah HaTahara, new edition, volume 2. According to his calculation, it emerges that if a woman had relations with her husband on Motzei Shabbat and then saw blood, the 6th complete O-note from the time of the relations would conclude in the middle of the 4th night, i.e. Tuesday night. She may then perform a hefsek tahara on Wednesday and begin to count the Sheva Nakiim on Thursday. And the same applies to any similar case. This is a custom of the Sephardim and Edot HaMizrach, but Ashkenazim have the custom of being stringent to wait an additional day, meaning that if she had relations with her husband on Motzei Shabbat, she should perform the hefsek tahara on Thursday and begin counting the Sheva Nakiim the next day on Friday. When does this apply that one must wait a number of days before beginning to count Sheva Nakiim? It is when she had relations with her husband within 4 days from seeing blood. But if she did not have relations according to Sephardic custom and that of the Edot HaMizrach, she need not wait at all, and she may begin counting the Sheva Nakiim immediately after stopping to see blood following a hefsek tahara. If she had relations with her husband 2 days before the time when she saw blood, she must wait 2 more days, and if the blood stops after that, she may perform a hefsek tahara and begin counting the Sheva Nakiim from the next day. The Ashkenazic custom is to be stringent to wait 5 days, even if she did not have relations with her husband at all during the days prior to seeing blood, and even if her husband was not in the city during those days.
Yeah, we know how to be stringent. We do it right. But I will ask you to look at footnote number 20, which is, it should be noted that on a practical level, most women don't stop bleeding till at least 4 days, and often 5 days after the onset of menstruation. Therefore, this Sephardic leniency cannot often be used practically. And that's true. most of the time, it's not going to be relevant, but sometimes it will. Sometimes it really will make a difference. All right. Becky, I think we're up to you. No?
I have a question though.
Yeah.
What is the reasoning that like we have to wait until like all semen is out?
Let me show you. On page 111, you'll see the evolution of that halacha, that just like a zav can't count a day when he's discharging semen, so to a zava. So it would undo that day. But we don't know, you don't necessarily notice it coming out, so you don't necessarily know which day just got undone. So that's why we wait till all of them are passed before we start counting. But then we add on the stringency of also not asking you whether or not you did or didn't have relations. And also adding the stringency of maybe you're a little bit off on your count. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does the 12 note, it starts immediately after a couple had relations? I think I heard you saying that you start the count like by Shkia, but was that something else that you were saying?
So there are two pieces here, and that's why I think it was confusing. So the counting the discharge is 12 onot me'et le'et, from 10 p.m., from 3 p.m., from whatever it was, till the 6 onot later at that time. But the problem is that for the Sheva Nekiyim, you need a complete day, right? You have to start at Shkia. So even if you finish that sixth ona, halfway into Tuesday night, it won't help you. Because you need to start at a Shkia, and you can't start at a Shkia if there's still a few hours that you might be discharging into. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you have to wait till the following Wednesday.
So that's why you have to wait till the full, till you have a full day that you can count.
Okay.
So we have like two sides of a page. Should we go for it? Let's do it. I think we're in the zone.
Okay. Wait, Darkei Tahara?
Yeah, so Darkei Tahara.
Okay. Should I read the box first?
Yes, please.
In contrast to Rav Yosef, Rav Mordechai Eliyahu writes in the Darkei Tahara that in his opinion, Sfardim are machmir, stringent, to follow the opinion of the Ramah regarding the issue. Darkei Tahara. In order to establish a fixed rule for all women concerning this issue, and in order to prevent errors in counting the days, the custom is that every woman who has seen blood or stain, as well as one who has given birth, should perform a hefsek tahara no earlier than the 5th day from her period, whether she had relations then or not. This means that a woman who saw blood on Motzei Shabbos, whether she had relations prior to that or not, would perform a hefsek tahara on Thursday, and should only begin to count the 7 clean days on Thursday night, such that Friday will be the first day of the 7 clean days, and on Thursday night of the next week she may immerse in the mikveh. And one should not deviate from this custom. Footnote 26. This is taken from the Ramah in Siman 196, whatever. See the responsa, Sivchai Tzadek and the Ben Ish Chai, and see that Eitz HaChaim, who writes that in our times we are accustomed to being stringent like the custom of the Ramah.
So that's where, right? So that's what Bella was saying. Also, it's not so clear that even Sfardim are waiting the way that Rav Avadir, are waiting the way that the Shulchan Aruch says. Rav Avadir Yosef very much hews to the Shulchan Aruch, but you see from the Darkei Tahara that other Sephardi poskim adopted some of the stringencies that Ashkenazim have. All right, so now we're up to Vanessa.
Okay.
See someone delicious joined us.
Yes, that's why it makes me happy. There are some, oh, what a sweetie, Kanane Hora. There are some exceptional cases where even Ashkenazim who follow the Ramah are lenient to wait only 4 days instead of 5. In addition, Ashkenazim are lenient to allow waiting 5 days from the time of relations, rather than the time of menstruation in one specific case. Some of these cases are summarized in the excerpt below from the Sefer Pua. According to those who follow the Ramah, if they abstained for halakhic considerations, e.g., after seeing a stain of blood, they may count those days for these purposes. In some cases, even those who are strict in accordance with the Ramah are lenient to perform a hefsek tahara after only 4 days and not 5. For example, in the case of early ovulation, where immersing earlier will enable conception when the immersion falls out on Friday after Yontif, and as a result, the chafifa preparation is done far apart from the immersion. If the husband is traveling and they would like the night of immersion to be one night earlier before he leaves, is it
Beautiful.
permitted for a woman? Go ahead, please.
Sorry, I was just going to say, so you see there are a number of times when even Ashkenazim will be lenient and will follow the baseline Shulchan Aruch Psak, depending on the circumstances, right? Sometimes it makes it, you're being machmir in one area, it ends up being a kula in a different one. So some of these are examples when most commonly even Ashkenazim would be lenient and wait only 4 days. All right, so let's get, Rachel, are we up to you? You're going to introduce the next source with that little box?
Sure.
Okay.
Is it
So I
permitted
think
for a woman who is a Niddah to douche or wipe herself internally in order to remove any residual semen and allow her to begin counting the Sheva Nekim earlier? In that case, there would be no concern of Palat of Shechvat Zara discharging semen. The answer is that this too is subject to dispute between the Shulchan Aruch and Ramah.
of course.
According to the Shulchan Aruch, this is permitted, while the Ramah holds that people nowadays are not familiar with the technique to perform it effectively. In addition, the Ashkenazic custom, as discussed above, is to wait 5 days, even when the couple did not engage in relations at all. Shulchan Aruch Yardea, a woman who had relations and then saw blood, which then stopped, and she wishes to count from the day following her seeing, she may wipe the area very well with a cloth or garment in order to remove all of the semen, or she may wash the area with hot water, and that will remove all of the semen. Some say that we are not experts in this nowadays, and one should not rely on it. This is a custom as it had already been explained above, as explained that we are accustomed to wait even if she did not have relations at all, so as not to differentiate between one counting and the next. So certainly the same is true in this case, and anyone who breaches the fence regarding these issues in locales where the custom is to be stringent, a snake shall bite him. See Kohelet.
Indeed. So again, if we're saying that we don't even care whether you had intercourse, clearly this trick of getting the semen out is not going to be good enough for the Ashkenazim, right? Even if you knew definitively that you hadn't had intercourse within 4 days, we're not going to allow it. So certainly this trick of removing the semen, which he's not even sure that it's effective enough, that's not going to cut it. All right, so let me finish us off. The Torah Tatara holds that Sephardim may be lenient about this issue in accordance with the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch. Torah Tatara, concerning a woman who has had relations with her husband and then saw blood, which stopped. The custom of the Sephardim and Edot Mizrach is that if one wishes to perform a hefsek tahara immediately and then begin counting the 7 clean days the following day, she may do so by wiping herself thoroughly in that area with either a cloth or soft garment in order to remove all the semen, or wash it in hot water, and it's even better to do both of them together. And that will remove all the semen, and then she may perform a hefsek tahara immediately and begin the 7 clean days on the following day. Ashkenazim are generally stringent not to rely on this method in accordance with the opinion of the Ramah, but rather to wait 5 days in all situations. Okay, so we did it. We didn't get to the summary. We'll try to start next time with it. There's also the further iyun article about halachic infertility and how that might happen, and in it he has a really nice sort of review of all the pieces that we just learned. So I recommend that. We won't do it together, but it's interesting if you have a chance to look at it. And then next week, Bezrat Hashem, we'll start on harchakot, everybody's favorite topic.
Is tomorrow's class, please God?